So a pen I've been meaning to talk about for a very long time, and this time when I say it, I really do mean I've been meaning to talk about this for a long time, is this. This is the Pen BBS 322, and I am really excited to be releasing a lot of new videos soon about pens from Pen BBS. For anyone who doesn't know, it's a relatively new Chinese fountain pen brand that popped up on Etsy and eBay around about middle to late last year, and the cool thing is they're focusing on more higher quality, more expensive Chinese fountain pens when you compare it to Jinhao or Wing Sung. Though to be fair, when I talk about that, I'm really talking about pens that cost $20 to $30, so still really affordable. But the pens that I've gotten from Pen BBS so far, I've been pretty blown away by the quality. They're very nice pens, and that's why I'm very, very happy to be finally reviewing these pens. And first of all, I want to start off with this. This is the Pen BBS 322, and it's really taken me a long time to consolidate my thoughts on this pen because, well, let me explain. This is the Pen BBS 322. This is the Wing Sung 3001, and this is a clone of this, which is also a clone of this, and this is the Pilot 78G. And for those of you who don't know, the Pilot 78G was the first fountain pen that I ever bought all the way back in 2015. This was the first fountain pen that I ever bought with my own money, and I pretty much used this pen exclusively for 4 months, and I was really happy with this fountain pen after I finally got it to work, and I really fell in love with the pen. I like its ergonomics, and this was the pen that I used for so long, and I really didn't know better, for lack of a better word. I thought this was, this was fountain pens, this is great, and this is how fountain pens should feel. And it wasn't until I got my hands on a Parker Sonnet that I realized, yeah, maybe fountain pens can be a little bit better. So I always think that I look back on this pen with rose-colored glasses because, it's such a special pen to me. And that's why it's taken me so long to review this pen, because I wasn't sure if I was giving the Pen BBS 322 a little bit of a light review because it was so close to the 78G or not. So that's what I want to talk about here today. Now, first of all, I want to say the Pilot 78G, while I do love it, it always wasn't a truly high quality Pilot. Yes, it is a Pilot. Yes, it's made in Japan. It has everything. It has the Pilot mainstream nib, which I really do like when it comes in a medium. But the 78G was always a lower end tier pen. I think I paid $20 for this. So honestly, it wasn't all that hard for them to match the quality with the Pen BBS 322. In fact, any pen can really match the quality of this. And that's why, even though that this pen is made in China, I do think the quality of this pen is as good or maybe even better than the Pilot 78G. Because when I look at this pen and when I hold this pen, I don't immediately think this is the highest quality pen I've ever felt, but there's no defects. It's a very nice demonstrator. It looks very nice in the hand. It's very nice. And I only paid $7.50 US for this pen, so I thought I was getting a pretty good deal with this pen. Now, the biggest thing with the Pilot 78G that I've always told people when they are thinking of getting this pen is the biggest turn-off for this pen is certainly the ergonomics. The ergonomics are the thing that kills this pen for a lot of people because, as you can see, this is not a very thick pen. The thinnest point of the pen right here is only 8mm in diameter, and the thickest part here is only about 11mm in diameter. And while most pens are about 10mm in diameter, I know the change is really small, but when you're talking about pens, you really can feel it. Even a bump up to 9mm, you can feel it, and this has always been a very slim pen, and that's always been a big turn off for a lot of people. And even me, I would rather a thicker pen rather than a thinner pen, but because I used this pen for so long, and because I used Uniball eye micros for so long, I think I've just gotten used to using slim pens, and that's why it's never been an issue for me ergonomically. But I know there are a lot of people out there who really dislike how thin this pen is. And if you don't like thin pens, don't bother getting this. Just wait until the other Pen BBS pen reviews come out. Though in terms of the other ergonomics, I think it's nice. Okay, so the length capped is 13.5cm, uncapped it's 12.1, posted it's 14.6, and I recommend you always use it posted. And posted, it's very nice because there's not that much of a step up, and you really don't feel the step up. I think it's long enough for anyone to use it. It's a very nice length, and the weight, obviously, it's a small plastic fountain pen, so the weight is pretty much on par with the 78G. Capped is 12 grams, and uncapped it's about 3 or 4. The cap is about 3 or 4 grams. So honestly, this pen, while it's not the best fountain pen, it's not the heavy duty pen that everyone loves, I think this is a pretty cool pocket pen that you can just chuck in your bag, that can be forgotten about and can be pulled out whenever you really need it. Now, as well as that, in terms of durability and reliability, like the 78G, I find no flaws in it. I've used this for about 6 months now, on and off, and yes, there are micro scratches, yes, there is a little bit of pitting when it's scratched up against keys, but when you see it from afar, I don't think anyone's going to pay too much attention to it. It looks pretty good. Yes, there are some finger marks, but you would expect that from a pen like this. In terms of aesthetics, aesthetics is not this pen's strong point. I'm not saying it's ugly or anything, but, like, come on. The 78G was never a huge looker, and this one here isn't better. I do think the clip is nicer than the 78G, but this one, you know, it's not ugly, but it's not a Mont Blanc or a Lamy or a Faber-Castell. It's not beautiful, though I will say I think it looks so much better as a demonstrator rather than a black pen. It just looks so much nicer, in my opinion. Now, looking at the pen, one nice thing about the 78G and this pen is it is a pretty good eyedropper pen. You can get a few mils of ink in it, and I use this pen as an eyedropper, and I didn't even get a quarter of the way through the ink supply before I tipped it out. It has a really good capacity, and all you need is a little bit of silicone gel, and this pen will eyedropper up really well. This pen also comes with a Pen BBS converter. I think it's a Jinhao converter without the Jinhao logo, and that's fine. Jinhao converters are really good. Only one has ever failed on me, and they hold about 0.9 mils of ink. They're really good, and it's free, so not bad. Okay, let's talk about the nib of this fountain pen. And as I mentioned beforehand, anyone who has followed me for long enough would know that one of my favourite all-time nibs in fountain pens is easily the Pilot mainstream line of nibs. These are ones that you find on the Metropolitan, the 78G, the Prera. I really do love them. They're very good out of the box, and they are always buttery smooth. I really do like the medium nib that these pens come with, but this one here has a fine nib, and the fine nib, while it's not as good as the medium nib, I really do enjoy. Plus, it's really, really, really fine because it is Japanese. Now, the nib that comes on the Pen BBS 322 is not a fake of this nib. This one here is a more generic, traditional style nib, but that doesn't mean it's bad because it actually is my favourite part of this pen. Now, obviously, looking at it, as I said before, it's generic, and there's not many markings on the polished steel. It's pretty bare. The only thing that's on it is a logo, and for some reason the engraving Marshmallow Shanghai, which I don't pretend to understand, though I do like it. For whatever reason, I don't know why it says marshmallow, but there you go. The breather hole on the fountain pen is actually a heart, and while I have seen this on vintage pens, I haven't seen that on many modern pens, and I really do like that about this pen. It really is something nice. Though that's not the thing that I love about this pen the most. The thing that I love about this pen the most is the fact that you can get some really good flex and line variation out of this pen. It really is good. If you push down, you can get some nice flex, and the contrast between thick and thin lines is really nice. The only caveat is this feed makes the nib pretty wet. Using most inks that I've used, it's actually a little bit too wet, especially for uncoated paper, because every time I've used it on uncoated paper, I pretty much get bleed through on every single character. So on uncoated paper, I would steer away from using this pen. But when you're using coated paper, like Rhodia, you can get a lot of fun out of using this pen. Now, the thing is, while you can get a lot of fun out of using this pen, for everyday writing, I'm not so sure. Yes, I've used this for everyday writing in my Electrum 1917 diary, though I'm not sure about it because a common complaint that I have about Chinese fountain pens, for some reason, the tipping in them always has this sort of grippy, gritty feel. I can't exactly explain why. Only people who would have actually used this would know, but there's always a grippy feel to them, like there's a lot of resistance, and this pen suffers from that. Every time I use this pen, there's always a little bit of resistance. And it's not scratchiness because I have polished the tip of this pen and it's not scratchy anymore, but for some reason there's always just this little bit of resistance, and that does dull the effect of the pen because it takes it from a pen that has the potential to be an everyday writer into a pen that I only use when I want to do some nice fun writing. And anyway, on that note, let's get into a writing sample. Alright everyone, welcome to the writing sample for the Pen BBS 322. This one has the fine nib on it. The ink that I'm using is simply Noodler's Black. And the paper is simply Clairefontaine. Let's get a quick writing sample, shall we? And as you can see from that writing sample, the pen writes nicely, apart from a little bit of a hard start. I'm not exactly sure why, but there you go. Though the writing sample for the rest of it was pretty good. You get really nice sharp lines out of the nib, and the writing looks very, very nice. Though you don't get all that much noticeable line variation. Like, sure, you get a little bit here and here. You get a little bit, but if you really want to get the best of this nib, slow down a little bit. And that is the nice writing that I'm talking about. This is very, very nice. And that's what I love about this pen. You can get some very nice writing and contrast, and that's really what I like. So this is the pen with no flex at all, and this is slowly building up, and you can easily see applying pressure, you get some very nice line variation, and you don't have to press down all that much, but do take care, otherwise you will get railroading, as you can see there. No pressure and full pressure, and it is very nice. This is the side stroke and this is the downstroke, so there is a little bit of like an italic nature to the nib, though this is a fine nib, there's no proper italic grinding. I guess it's just down to the way that they have ground the nib. It's not an italic nib, though you get some very nice writing from it. In terms of wetness, as I said before, it really is a more wetter pen, especially for the size of the nib. It is a little bit wetter than you would expect. So you don't get all that much bleed through on coated paper, though on uncoated paper you're going to have issues. In terms of reverse writing, it is pretty scratchy. Normally pens from China are really good with reverse writing, but obviously not here. Yes, you can do reverse writing. It doesn't have any proper issues, but it just is scratching. And there we go. That is the writing sample for the Pen BBS 322. And there you go, a pen review of the Pen BBS 322. Now, is this pen going to win over my heart, and is it going to be on the top 10 list? Frankly, no. I think this pen, it is a very good start for Pen BBS, and certainly I'm going to have more reviews coming out of this brand. I honestly think the Pilot 78G is not a pen that's really worth cloning. Like, Wingsung already did it with the 3001, and they made an absolute hash out of it. This pen here, honestly, while it is up to the quality of the original 78G, the original 78G was not an amazing pen that everyone wanted to get their hands on. Honestly, only a select few people should really be aiming to grab this pen. Yes, it's affordable, but I think there are so many better fountain pens out there for the price that you should get your hands on. Honestly, you should only be buying this pen if you want a pen that has a flexible nib, that is a number 5 nib, and a pen that is slim. For any other reasons, don't get this pen. Like, I do like this pen and I will be using it for fun, but honestly, this pen has too many drawbacks for most people to use. So that's my review of the Pen BBS 322, and thank you very much for watching.